I know some people are going to say, SouFlo, we've been waiting on you to break this one, man. But y'all know how I do already, right? Although I see the headlines floating around, I had to make sure that the story was absolutely true. If you were on our live this morning, you heard when the man called in live on the phones and he said, SouFlo, it just came across my news feed from the Jamaica Gleaner that just published that Dontay Brooks, the son of Mavado, was free from his murder, from his life sentence. And I said, if Dante is free, that's a good thing. However, I'll go look it up after because I didn't want to interrupt what we were talking about this morning. Now, after that, I went to go try to source the information to make sure it was truth, and all the media houses that published it early in the morning kind of took down their story, which made me think it was not true. They might have jumped the gun. But then, here we go again. 9 minutes ago, it comes in published in the Observer. So this is 9 minutes into the publishing that I'm giving this to you. But before we do all that, we have to bring everybody back to why this happened in the first place. Okay? So welcome back to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It is your host with the most. This story is about Dancehall Icon Mavado, Gully God, whose son was a teenager when he received a life sentence for an incident that happened in Jamaica, or an incident following a altercation that happened in Jamaica that involved his father. Many people have seen that Mavado had not been back to Jamaica in years. And to tell you how serious it is, even his mother, who he was very close to and loved dearly, when she passed away in Jamaica, he did not even return to Jamaica to attend her funeral. Many people might ask why. Well, it is known that law enforcement in Jamaica wanted Mavado in their grasp. Maybe so they could tie him up in this case with his son as well, because there was a part in his case, his son's case, where it came out in court, the boss want him head. And of course, many assumed the boss meaning Mavado, as if Mavado sent the hit. Kill the boy there and want him head. So we'll see how all this plays in. So taking you back first, before giving you the good news of today, right? The sentence was handed down in the Home Circuit Court this particular afternoon, which was March 19th of 2021. Dante Brooks, the 18-year-old son of dancehall artist Mavado, had been sentenced to life in prison for the 2018 murder of Lorenzo Thomas. This was 2021 when Dante was 18 years old. So he was 18 in 2021. Blah, blah, blah. The numbers are jumbling in my mind. You know, maths are my favorite thing. Dante was 18 years old in 2021, March 19th, when he was handed this life sentence. He was to serve 22 years before he would even become eligible for parole. He was also sentenced to 15 more years on top of those 22 years for arson, and to serve 20 for illegal possession of a firearm as well. So they handed him 22 years, then they handed him 15 years, then they handed him another 20 years. Altogether, 22, 20, and 15, you do the math. However, the judge decided that sentence will run concurrently or at the same time. So, he was accused alongside another young man whose name was Andre Hines. Andre Hines at the time was 26 years old though, and had also been given a life sentence for the murder and must serve at the time 17 years before he would have been eligible for parole. He was also given 15 years for arson and illegal possession of a firearm. That sentence was handed down in the Home Circuit Court by Justice Leighton Pusey. Now, in that same year of 2021, January of that year, Brooks and Hines were found guilty of murder, illegal possession of firearm, and arson. The two were arrested and they were charged in connection with a home invasion killing of Lorenzo Thomas in St. Andrew community of Cassava Peace on June 5th of 2018 is when the alleged murder occurred. Prosecutors led evidence in court that Mavado's son, Dontay Brooks, and his co-accused Hines were among 5 men who entered the house, forced their way into a house, and shot Thomas before pushing his father into another room. Thomas killers then attempted to sever his head, but aborted that plan because the machete that they were trying to use, or that they were using to sever the head, was too dull to do the job. It was during this time in court that it was testified by the victim's father that one of them said, Hines said, remember the boss say him want him head. And Dante gave Hines a machete and told him to saw off the person's head. The man said he stood there and he watched both of them. He even said to them, remember say me know you know. And you can't kill me if you don't want to, cause me done dead already, cause you kill my son. But if as the last thing I do, I'm going to make sure that I get justice for my son. They asked him in court, are you sure these are the guys? He said, I know them. I have known them since they were small children growing up. So I know them. It's not like I just come know them, right? Right. With that said, that was taken as a solid piece of evidence or as a solid testimony to be used against them. He even said that Hines said to Mavado's son, Dante, while they were torturing his son in front of him, what am I to do with the old man? What should I do with the old man? And Dante gave the order like a Don and said, make him live, man. And then, so he was spared, right? They asked him, so you said all these things in front of them like you just saw them kill your son, and you said, oh, if it's the last thing I do, I'm going to make sure I get justice for my son. Weren't you afraid that you were going to get killed? And he said, me did dead already because them killed my son right in front of me, right? And even when they were trying to saw off his head, I was saying to them, oh God, man, you kill him already. Just left him now, no? Because he didn't want to see his son's head sawed off in front of him. Mind you, in his testimony, this was close interaction. Him seeing, verifying, speaking to these young men who he had known since they were children. Then they poured gasoline on the house and the bodies and the body before setting both the house and the body on fire. Prosecutors relied on the eyewitness testimony of Thomas's father, the young man who they killed, his father, who was the main witness, who indicated that he also knew his son's killers from the community. I don't like saying nobody strange. I know them from them little bit and I grow around here. Them and my son used to be friends. Right? Back then when that happened, a lot of people praised the justice system and said, good, yes, all criminal terrorists, them lock them up for life and all things like that. Golly God, Mavado came under a lot of heat because a lot of people were like, you're a waste man. How you live up so in a big mansion and your son still a run up and down in a ghetto with gangster, are getting a problem with police and all this. Shouldn't you have saved your son? Your son should be running a business somewhere, trying to build on his father's legacy, or at least put him in the entertainment business or keep him close to you, under your armpit if you have to. One person says, golly God, you failed your son big time, man. How could you, as a father, allow this to happen, you have all the money in the world to give him a good life, proper education, and the right guidance to become equal, if he wanted to, a well-educated entertainer, but you failed so badly to protect them. Now, look where your son is. Well, I don't know, because that was short-lived. This, I'm telling you, was back in 2021, March 19th to be specific, at 2021, and it was published at 5:55 p.m. March 19th of 2021. I'm being very specific. Over here today, we take from two media pieces, right? And the first one comes from RJR. Now, for the older Jamaican them, the people them who 40 and above, 35 and above them age there, you know what RJR is. RJR come in like the Gleaner. It's a staple, right? With credibility to a certain level. So, from RJR today, which is March 7th of 2025, it was printed that the court heard the appeal because the attorneys representing both Dante and Hines put in an appeal, and the court heard their appeal on December 10th and December 11th last year, 2024, and then the courts later reserved their judgment. That means that the court heard their appeal and the court didn't say anything then. They were gone to ponder and think about what steps are to come next. Attorney Oswest Senior Smith, who represented Hines, the co-accused of Dante, said that the verdicts of acquittal were entered for both men on Friday, which is today, March 7th, 2025. So the decision took from December 11th to March 12th. December, January, February, March, roughly almost 4 months, well, 3 months and a couple of weeks to come to the verdict, right? And both men have been acquitted. Mr. Senior Smith said that there were several grounds of appeal, because I know a lot of people want to know, well, with a witness that was so strong, we're talking the father. You know, Mavado always said that that was bullshit and that the father was making up stuff because him no say that's Mavado's son, etc. But with a person that was seen as such a strong witness to this case, one would wonder what grounds did the appeal court find to get these guys off on, to quash their conviction. Ever since the Vibes Cartel case of the conviction being quashed, us Jamaicans have become very familiar with the word quashed. Quashed means to do away with. It cannot stand any longer. It has no grounds to stand on. Mr. Senior Smith said that there were several grounds of appeal, including on the evidence of visual and voice identification. Remember, I know, the guy, father, Thomas, the guy they killed, allegedly killed, his dad was the one that was the eyewitness. He said they sent some girl to knock the door first that knows his son. The girl knocked their house door, and when they went to open the door, Dante and Hines forced their way in to the house. And they were there struggling for a minute at the door, and he was trying to talk to them through the door, but they were hell-bent on doing what they were going to do. Then they came in the house, and they did the rest of what they did, right? Beat him son, torture him, shoot him, and tried to cut off his head right in front of the father, according to the father's testimony. Remember, I know, I wasn't there. So I have to say allegedly and according to, because these are the things that were handed to us. Now, according to the attorneys, he said that there were several grounds on which this appeal went through, including on the evidence of visual and voice identification. The defense, he said, argued that the prosecution's evidence was particularly weak. I don't know how. If it's the father that's telling you, them two youth, I miss kill my son right in front of me. Me talk to them. Them could have killed me too. Me tell them I didn't care if they kill me. But if me live, me do everything to get justice for my son. So how could that evidence be weak? However, the defense, he said, argued that the prosecution's evidence was particularly weak and also questioned the credibility of the Crown's main witness. The Crown's main witness was Thomas's father, as well as the directions given by the trial judge. This happens a lot in Jamaica. These trial judges, like for instance in the Vybz Kartel case, for a case that was the longest running case in the judicial history of Jamaica, the judge came back and basically hurried the jury, like hurry up and come back with a conviction. And after all you've heard, I think the conviction should be guilty. I think the finding should be guilty, or come back with a guilty verdict, something like that, which misguided the jury, and not only misguided the jury, but did not give the jury enough time to sift through all the evidence, the weeks and weeks of evidence that was laid out in front of them. And that can come back to bite a case in the ass, no pun intended. Dontay Brooks was represented by attorney Hugh Wildman. His first trial, he was actually represented by none other than Peter Champagny. And Peter Champagny said, "We respect the court's ruling. However, we have a strong case for an appeal." I didn't understand where that strong case for an appeal was. The attorneys were awaiting they are now awaiting the written decision. You know, like when them first tell them, say, hey, your client get off, but then they need it in writing on paper. So we fast forward to the Jamaica Observer now, the last piece. And today, which is March 7th of 2025, it says the Court of Appeal has quashed the murder conviction and the sentences of Dontay Brooks, the son of dancehall entertainer David Mavado Brooks, and that of his co-accused Andre Hines as well. The decision was handed down this morning, Friday, March 7th of 2025. Wow. Now, check it. To quash a conviction, you know, this means Dante can get in papers and fly out the foreign now, you know. Just like how the conviction got quashed for Vybz Kartel, and then he got visa to enter the UK and visa to enter the US, Dante can now do the same, because a quashing of a conviction means it won't be on his record. If they said time served, early release, it would still remain on his record that he did time for murder. Right? Right. We respect the judicial process at all levels, and we are pleased that the Court of Appeal has ruled in our favor. This decision reaffirms the merits of our case and underscores the important legal principles at stake, said Tamika Harris, who is one of the attorneys at law who represented Dontay Brooks, Mavado's son, during the initial trial. The court heard the appeals, like I told you before, on December 10th and 11th of last year, and then later reserved their judgment until today. Now, while the journey through the courts has been challenging, I remained hopeful. I appreciate the Court of Appeal's careful decision of the matter and its ruling. We remain dedicated to upholding the rule of law and ensuring that our clients' rights and interests are fully protected, Harris said. This is Dante's attorney, one of them. Attorney at law Hugh Wildman, who represented Brooks during the appeal process, prominent attorney Peter Champagny, Oswest Senior Smith, and Harris had represented Brooks during the initial murder trial. Like I said before, in 2021, you already know what happened. I already told you that's when the murder conviction was handed down, life imprisonment for killing Lorenzo Thomas in Cassava Peace. Lorenzo was shot, then he was beheaded, almost beheaded, and his body was set ablaze. Now, attorney Oswald Smith, who represented Hines at the appeal, said that the verdict of the acquittal were entered today and they're pleased with it. A reserved comment on the case until the written decision had been published and disseminated, he said. I will reserve my comment on the case until the written decision has been published. In other words, they're telling us that by mouth, but I want it in writing. That's funny because that's what we spoke about on SouFLoTV this morning. Take nothing in writing. Take nothing in word of mouth. Make sure you get it in writing, right? Right. I want to read and digest it properly before commenting, said Senior Smith, the attorney. I know that certain grounds were common on both appellants as it pertains to the direction that the trial judge gave and the credibility of the witness. And I would like to see the written decision first so I can comment in a more informed way. Kudos to the team. A lot of hard work went into the process, he said. Senior Smith and Kamar Robinson represented Hines at the appeal level. Senior Smith said that there were several grounds of appeal, including on the evidence of visual and voice identification. Shout out to Claude Mills. Thank him for bringing this to us through the Jamaica Observer. Check it, right? Now, a lot of people who were saying that Mavado was, if I did my son, forget about singing career. May I jump on a plane and fly, go to Jamaica to be there right by his side. And, you know, Mavado said, well, not Mavado said, but people were saying, listen, it take a lot of money. Millions of dollars it's going to take to free his son. Him sitting down in Jamaica just so he can be there when his son is sentenced wasn't going to do anything for his son. He had to jump on the plane, get out of Jamaica so they don't tie him up in this case, and go get money, go do road, so he can make the millions to give to the attorneys to free his son. Money, do the thing. So, I know there are a lot of people who are saying Mavado walkless, how he make him son fall victim. And initially it was because of his own actions. Same did one be the done of Cassava Peace and went round there talking hard and tough and end up box a youth, and the youth pull out him gun and fire enough shot after Mavado, and Mavado had to run. And after he fired shots after Mavado and Mavado ran away, the rest happened. It was said that it was Thomas, the one who got killed, was the one that Mavado boxed, and he fired shots at Mavado, and Mavado ran and left Jamaica. But Mavado's son and his badman brethren them retaliated by going straight to homie's house and dealing with him the way they did. That was how the storyline was set up back then when it happened. Again, our disclaimer is, we weren't there, so we can't say 100% that that's how it went. I'm telling you that's how the storyline went when it happened. We've been following this story from 2021. It is now 2020. A matter of fact, we've been following the story from 2018. It is now 2025. So when we say to you, hit the subscribe button, click the bell next to the subscribe button so you're notified when a new video goes up or when an update goes up to a story we've covered. This is what we mean, right? We followed it until Dante got sentenced to life. Matter of fact, we followed it from Mavado get shot at, allegedly, till he left the Jamaica, till the police them said them want him, till we were like, is he going to be on the run or are they going to extradite him? Until they held on to his son Dante, until Dante got life sentence. Mavado still never came back to Jamaica. His mom passed away. We followed it through all the ups and downs until now. Dante did a few years in prison and bust off the case on appeal and is now free. Wow. Wow. I know Mavado must be happy as hell. Here's what my take on this would be. At this point, move your son, bro. Move your son. And I hope Dante listen. Move your son. There was an article out that spoke about Dante's behavior prior to him being locked up. Because he got a little bit more time than Hines, his co-accused. And they asked, why did that happen if the two of them committed the same crime at the same time? And they said because Hines did not have a record, but Dante, for one, had just finished doing 18 months on another charge. So he'd been locked up before. And for two, even if he'd been locked up before, he must have been locked up as a juvenile because he wasn't an adult. And for two, Dante also, at the time of this murder, which they said he allegedly did, he was actually out on bail. So, if I was Mavado, I would have taken with Dante and go put him somewhere where he can actually rehabilitate and thrive. And remember the interview on The Fix when Vybz Kartel reached the part of his interview where he spoke about Dante Mavado's son being best friends with his son, and people wouldn't expect that because they think him and Mavado are arch nemesis warring through music when it's only music, because in real life, while we are warring on music, our sons are actually two good brethren of each other, right? Remember the part where he reached in the interview where him talk about seeing Dante in there? No, sister, Vybz Kartel look like him did I go cry. Right. That means cakewalk, it wasn't no cakewalk in that prison. If you listen to the words of Madsus, Sean Storm, Vybz Kartel, you know that prison was hell. And if that prison was hell to big grown men, you could imagine the kind of hell it was to a fresh teenager who just gone in there. Even if Mavado is your daddy, nobody in there don't really care. It get rough in there, right? So now that his son is out, I hope that he can like move him to someplace safe, you know, take him out of the spotlight, cause I'm sure that there are people out here who want retribution. There's people out here who want a reprisal. There are people out here who wanted to see him stay in there forever and do a real life sentence. You know, you want to move your son out of harm's way now and give him a chance to rehabilitate and a chance to, this is his second chance at life, I would say. Give him a chance to be able to do something with his life and become somebody. I don't know, but that's just my take on how this should all work out. Man, I gonna do them thing regardless. I'm just saying. So that is that. And we're going to leave that right here. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about this one. And I'll catch you on the next video. It's SouFLoTV. I'm out. Peace.